Although Demon Souls would be the first in the Soulsborne universe, and with Armored Core before that, Dark Souls 1 is where everything really kicked off. And for most From Software fanatics, their first From Software game would be Dark Souls 1. And certainly for me, it is where my obsession began. Hi everyone, I'm Stewie Woods, and today we're going to be talking about the history and lore of the Dark Souls 1 universe and all the major characters that influenced the events in this universe. I will touch on some of the minor characters. However, if you would like a more in-depth analysis on any character or any region in the game, please drop a comment below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe. Now, before we all go hollow, let's get started. Before the time of the Chosen Undead, the gods ruled Lordran, and before that, the world was covered in a darkness, with the everlasting dragons ruling all. However, one day all that changed when fire appeared, and from this fire life and death arose, and with life and death came the contrasting light and dark. From this darkness arose mysterious creatures who were drawn to the flame like moths. This great fire bore the souls of lords, with four of these creatures inheriting these great souls: Nito, the Lord of Death, the Witch of Izalith, Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and the Firth of Pygmy, believed to be Manus, the father of all hollows. Nito was one of the mysterious creatures who inherited a Lord soul, and with it he brought life, death, and disparity. Sometime after inheriting this Lord soul, Nito would die, but due to the great power of his Lord soul, he was able to reanimate himself to the power of necromancy, becoming a massive skeletal creature and the embodiment of death, titled the First of the Dead. From his revival of death, Nito honed his skills and was able to create his very own special power, which could bring death to living beings. Nito placed this power of death into his Gravelord sword, which was crafted from the bones of his fallen followers and enemies alike, and was also imbued with toxic, which would kill any living creature that was unlikely and unlucky enough to encounter him. After this, Nito would join Gwyn and the Witch of Izalith in the conquest against the ancient dragons, in which Nito would play a major role in exterminating the dragons with his power of death and disease. After the war, while Gwyn created his kingdom of Anorlando, and the Witch of Izalith returning to Izalith to further master her pyromancy skills, Nito returned to the catacombs and would rest within the tomb of the giants. While the catacomb is the home of the smaller skeletons and the necromancers, the tomb of the giants was devoid of light and noise, and was home to the terrifying and extremely powerful giant skeletons and skeletal beasts. Nito and Gwyn would continue their relationship together after the war ended, as the deceased gods and their kin would be laid to rest in the catacombs, which is why we also find several Black Knights guarding the catacombs and the tomb of the giants. Nito would also welcome any human who was strong and brave enough to travel through the catacombs and ultimately make it to Nito's tomb, where they can become members of the Gravelord servants, whose intent is to spread death and misery to the world of others. By becoming a Gravelord servant, we are awarded with a Gravelord sword and the Gravelord sword dance, a miracle created by Nito and only known by members of the Gravelord servants. We can upgrade our level in the Covenant by offering Eyes of Death, obtained by luring up to 3 players to our world, and obtaining an Eye of Death upon defeating each player. Alternatively, for basilisks, who are the embodiment of death and curse build-up. If we defeat Nito, we will no longer be able to upgrade our Covenant level, and if we decide to leave the Covenant, we will no longer be able to join it until the next playthrough. Nito would at some point create the Rite of Kindling, which would upgrade the healing properties of the Estus Flask. This would further strengthen the relationship between Gwyn and Nito, as they were trying to give the chosen undead every chance to grow stronger and link the dwindling first flame. Pinwheel would eventually steal this Rite of Kindling to revive his dead son and wife. However, his experiments go horribly wrong, and they are merged together, until the chosen undead comes along and defeats him and obtains the right of Kindling for themselves. Nito's influence comes to an end when the chosen undead journeys to his tomb to obtain his soul to fill the Lord vessel. That concludes part 1 of the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe, and join me again for part 2. Don't you dare go hollow. Stream was out.